Radical ideas, creativity, and new perspectives propel our society. That deep and detailed understanding of a subject area that academics have offers so much to an artist. The raw, unmediated material that comes with intense research and expertise can really drive innovation and creativity. Artists help bring understanding through creative expression, but they can also challenge views and make seemingly invisible systems visible. They encourage us to be critical, and this is something artists and academics share. Somerset House Studios is an experimental workspace supporting artists to make work that engages with urgent issues and is part of Somerset House in central London. Somerset House is also home to King's College London, an internationally renowned university pioneering world-leading research. Both organisations are working together to support artists and academics to drive positive and sustainable change in society, fostering new projects and collaborations.
I had been trying to articulate my relationship with AI or machine learning, and I kind of wasn't able to. And I was interested in this human component. Sometimes we kind of have this element of the algorithm knows kind of ideas put onto artificial intelligence and machine learning. And so it was really interesting from my perspective to like understand that relationship better through your research.
It's just been great to have Vivian to talk to say, right, well, this is what I'm finding, this is what I'm seeing. That gives me confidence to continue as well. So it's actually a really, it's a great relationship in that way. I find it really helpful for my research.
So in terms of how our collaboration works, I think it's something that is constantly being kind of discussed and negotiated. So a lot of it is conversational.
Trying to understand a larger context, showing how exciting it is to be exploring space and to be involved with an artistic project.
So for me, having the opportunity to work for a longer period of time has been really valuable. I'm really excited to, for example, get the opportunity to actually use the telescope and to look through it. And I think just being a part of this process and learning more about the requirements of what it takes to build something on this scale, for me is very helpful in terms of thinking through my ideas for my work.
It's about human-wildlife conflict. And the next thing is it's in an emerging market. How do you make trade-offs between insurance, crops, livestock, etc.?
Simple things about when the animal, because essentially the animal is kind of constantly roaming around the board in quite an anarchic way, and it's about sort of understanding when the animal isn't on your land, it's not affecting you. So it's like, how much land should you be taking? Because the more land you take, the more you're in conflict.
I like the way Andy says anarchic. I've heard that quite a few times from. I come from a more quantitative background, so I'm more used to putting boundaries, and Andy loves anarchy. So we got to come across and put it all together. And to be honest, it was a lot of back and forth. And this is where having an artist on board to communicate and or educate people about things like microinsurance is a great way to collaborate.
Working with migrants organised members and with Cari has led to a much more participatory process, and it has been quite refreshing to see people actually shape the research, people with lived experiences of migration actually saying, oh, this is what we want to talk about.
In particular, it's been really interesting to work with you as an ethnographer, to interview and work with these participants, and also to try to build something together that might be materially helpful to people in very violent and oppressive infrastructure.
Sometimes in academia we focus on the usual outputs, so academic journal articles that not many people read or find accessible, whereas I think that art projects can have a bigger impact.
it's like this very kind of nuanced like navigation of staying analytical, but also giving weight to the emotional aspect of it. And especially in a project like this, like when I see Manu, you know, taking the emotional aspect of it seriously and foregrounding that, and not trying to come at it through various analytical, you know, steps. I think that kind of gives me a sort of liberty to, you know, reimagine what's possible through academic work.
It's opened up a new route in my practice, which can be more socially engaged.
I think both of us were really interested in reaching a broader kind of audience and a broader public with our ideas. And I think the combination of kind of artist and academic approach enables you to do that. I certainly felt like that anyway. Did you feel like that, Sam?
Yeah, I think it's also realising that there are other audiences for your work beyond the ones that you're used to making work for.
Yeah, kind of applying different contexts to your ideas.
I don't think that art should be separate from the rest of life. I just think that it's a part of life. And so the way that we kind of embed that in culture more is by actually being in the world amongst people who are working in different fields or studying different subjects.
I think there's kind of a cross-period dialogue going on, which has been really useful.
I found the collaboration and the experience of it really enriching for my work.
Working with these guys was integral to the project, because without that collaboration, you can only go so far.
When the two meet, I think it resonates better for, you know, humankind and a sustainable future, definitely.
Projects and collaborations between artists and academics are important because they introduce new perspectives and produce alternative forms of knowledge. These sorts of collaborations explore knowledge which is participatory, collective, embodied, and offers an alternative to the dominant narrative, encouraging us to think about process as much as outcome. In a time where things can feel opaque and heavily mediated, the interdisciplinarity of artist and academic collaborations have real power to enrich our understanding of the world.